Today is April 16th, 2025. We have a marathon of severe weather ahead with large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. Also, we're going to be talking about drought impacts and how that could impact our fire weather risk as we go through this week, and the potential for flash flooding on the wetter areas that have more rainfall as well. So make sure to like the video first and foremost, give it a like, thumbs up, make sure to share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and of course subscribe to my channel for the latest accurate and reliable weather information here on YouTube. I'll keep you covered with daily weather forecast videos here on my channel. So let's look here at the severe weather as we go into tomorrow, Thursday, April 17th. Slight risk of severe weather in yellow up here into Nebraska, as far north as southern Minnesota, Iowa, into northern Missouri and far western Illinois. Then as we go into Friday, the cold front will be moving eastward, and that will shift our severe weather a little bit further east on Friday. Michigan all the way into northwest Texas, we have that yellow slight risk area of severe weather. Going into Saturday, that cold front continues to meander further off to the south and east. Slight risk of severe weather in yellow from southwestern Pennsylvania all the way back into central Texas. And then finally, as the trough ejects toward the Mississippi Valley on Easter Sunday, April 20th, we're going to have a slight risk of severe weather from southern Illinois all the way into East Texas and Louisiana. So a marathon of severe weather is anticipated here as we go forward. And let's look here at our temperatures as we go through this week. We got cooler air here in the blue and greens across the eastern U.S. today, and the warmer air across the central and western U.S., where you see the oranges, reds, and even the whites here. That's where we could be seeing some record high temperatures today, but especially as we go into your Thursday tomorrow, April 17th, setting up shop across the central and southern plains. And then as we go into Friday, the warmer air will continue to move further north, as far north as the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley, with potentially some really warm air up there. Cold front, though, behind that on Friday will bring some cooler air into the weekend across the Midwest and Great Lakes as we go in towards Easter Sunday, especially there on April 20th. Now, looking here at our temperatures, high temperatures this afternoon, we're going to see the 80s go all the way north here into South Dakota and western Iowa. 90s are ticketed for western Kansas, the Oklahoma and Texas Panhandle. In fact, there could be a couple of record highs today in the Texas Panhandle, Colorado, and southern New Mexico, so watching out for that. If that doesn't happen today, tomorrow will be the day for more widespread record highs as we're into the mid-90s across Kansas, western Oklahoma, including the Oklahoma Panhandle, and West Texas, including the Texas Panhandle here. Multiple record highs, maybe even a few areas taking a run at the triple digits there on Thursday. Friday, probably not seeing records, but still very warm for the south for this time of year. Upper 80s to near 90 there, a few low 90s possible in South Texas on Friday. Then as we go into Saturday the 19th and Easter Sunday the 20th of April, we're going to see some cooler air spilling in from the north, from Canada into the northern and central Great Plains, bringing those highs back down into the 60s, maybe even the 50s, with more refreshing air for the weekend. Now, we do have to watch the relative humidity here, especially into New Mexico and West Texas. As you guys know, we are in a significant drought in this area, and we are looking here at the drought monitor. Notice you have a lot of those oranges, reds, and maroon reds. In the orange, that's severe drought. In the reds, the cherry red, that is an extreme drought. In the maroon red, that is an exceptional drought. And then notice that takes up residence across a large chunk of the southwest U.S., including even areas of Southern California, Southern Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico, all the way over there into western and even central Texas, so pretty widespread there. So we look here at the relative humidity. Notice here this afternoon, that will actually drop into the single digits and teens in percentage across portions of New Mexico and far west Texas, and that will elevate our fire weather concerns quite a bit. Thursday, actually tomorrow, is going to be the lowest, and we see those values actually a few areas near 0% actually with our relative humidity. Very, very dry fuels out there. And then as we go into Friday, April 18th, we'll still see those single digits to even those teens for the percentages of the relative humidity in New Mexico and into West Texas. Now, we look at the winds because we have the drought, very dry ground. We have the very dry air just on top of the ground, right? Now we have to take the wind into consideration here as we go into the afternoon today. Wind gusts in New Mexico, West Texas, over 30 miles per hour. Those will quiet down down overnight and then really ramp up again tomorrow here in a big way. Notice how those wind gusts in New Mexico, higher elevations in the mountains there, over 90-mile-per-hour winds. So it's going to be very strong. And then as we go into Friday afternoon, we'll do it once more with wind gusts in especially southern and southeast New Mexico, far west Texas, over 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts for a time for at least a few hours Friday afternoon. So when we look here at the fire weather risk as we go through today, in the orange, that's an elevated fire weather concern. In the red, that is a critical fire weather concern. Burning is not recommended here, especially in eastern Arizona and into New Mexico as we go through today. Now tomorrow, a heightened area of a critical fire weather concern in the red. That extends up into Colorado, southwest Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas Panhandle. And we have a magenta area there into the areas of central and northeastern New Mexico. That's extremely critical fire weather. Burning is not allowed in those areas as we go into northeast New Mexico on Thursday. Then on Friday, it's more of a southern, southeastern New Mexico, far west Texas ordeal with elevated to critical fire weather concerns extending into Friday, April 18th as well. So let's look here ahead at what we have in the short term as far as storm activity now. Across portions of the Central Plains today, we actually do have a marginal risk of severe weather in dark green, and some cities here as we zoom it in. We have Kansas City here, Omaha, all the way down here into Topeka, Wichita, down in toward Elk City, Oklahoma, and into the eastern Texas Panhandle, all at risk for some severe weather, mainly for hail. And why that is because a lot of those storms are going to be elevated. They're not going to be surface rooted that they could produce damaging winds or tornadoes. They're going to be elevated, so the hail threat will be maximized. Looking here at midday, very dry environment as we have dew points in the 30s and 40s here. As we crank up through the afternoon, those dew points will be rising very significantly here into the low 60s in that marginal risk area, and that will start to moisten and become a little bit more unstable for storms to develop here. And you can see as we go through much of the day, we have a little bit of a cap on the atmosphere, or just some very dry air in general. As we go into the evening hours here, this is after 6 o'clock, we're going to watch some initiation back here in western Kansas, and those storms after 6 to 9 o'clock will start to grow upscale a little bit with some clusters of storms central Kansas and then eventually eastward into eastern Kansas, and that's where they'll maximize with the potential for some quarter, maybe even upwards to ping pong ball size hail. And then those storms will cross into Missouri as we go into the wee hours of the morning and daybreak on Thursday, and then they'll start to weaken as they push toward the St. Louis area mid-morning on Thursday morning. Now, looking here at our trough in the west, it's going to be around for a long period of time as we go into late this week and especially Easter weekend, because it's a positively tilted trough that's extending from Hudson Bay in Canada all the way down here toward California, and it's going to take some time for it to eject, and eventually will eject on Sunday, Easter Sunday, April 20th, toward the Mississippi Valley. So a marathon of severe weather is expected here on Thursday tomorrow. Slight risk, level 2 out of 5 on the risk scale in yellow. Eastern Nebraska, Iowa, southern Minnesota, northern Missouri, and far western Illinois at risk. And we look at some of the cities involved here as we go into Thursday. Omaha again, Lincoln, Nebraska, Des Moines, Ames, Iowa, into portions of the Davenport Quad Cities, Kansas City again, all the way over toward Madison, Wisconsin. We need to be on high alert for some severe weather chances. Now, areas in eastern Nebraska, western Iowa there, central Iowa, northwest Missouri, we could be seeing some significant hail. I think, again, these storms will remain elevated and not really surface rooted, and we do see a lot of the large hail threat being a big deal, and that could be pretty significant. This could be up to tennis ball size in some of these areas. And then we talk about the winds. 60-mile-per-hour winds, a lesser of a threat, and then a small 2% chance, but a non-zero chance for tornadoes across the Des Moines metro area, Omaha, down toward Kansas City, even as far north as southern Minnesota. We'll watch as we go into Thursday. Now, looking here at Thursday morning, dew points still, again, rising through that region, and it'll take some time to moisten up the environment, make it unstable, but by afternoon, dew points low, maybe even locally mid-60s, will return all the way to the Midwest, and that will increase our instability. Notice our instability tomorrow is pretty high, up to around 2,000 joules per kilogram. That is plenty of storm energy for severe weather. And we look at the wind shear, right? Severe weather is very important with wind shear, and this is your low-level jet here. at 850 millibars. This is 1 kilometer above the Earth's surface. And notice on the nose of that low-level jet, we're actually going to see the severe weather. So that's where we see it in Iowa, southern Wisconsin, and northern Illinois as we potentially go into the wee hours of the morning on Friday. So here we go, Thursday morning. We have ongoing storm clusters from Wednesday night storms across the central high plains. Those will be on a weakening trend as they approach the Mississippi River towards St. Louis Thursday morning. And then we'll see a lull in the activity. That's when the atmosphere is going to start to get more unstable, moisten up throughout the day with our dew points rising, instability rising, and then as we go into the afternoon, watching a broken line of some supercells from southern Minnesota, western Iowa, into eastern Nebraska. Notice those could be producing tornadoes for a brief period. 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. is the time to watch for large to very large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes here for the peak of that event. And then those storms could still be severe, but more isolated coverage of severe storms as they rumble through the Badger State of Wisconsin, northern Illinois, and towards portions of Michigan on the wee hours on Friday. Doesn't end there. As we go into Friday, cold front shifts east. We have a level 2 out of 5, slight risk in yellow from Michigan all the way south to northwest Texas. Big cities in here: Detroit, Indianapolis, Chicago, St. Louis, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and the Dallas-Fort Worth area. As we go into Saturday, cold front sinks a little bit further to the south. Areas at risk: Pittsburgh, down here towards Cincinnati, Louisville, down the Ohio River there to Paducah, Lexington and Richmond, over there into portions of the Missouri Boot Heel, Little Rock areas here in southeastern Oklahoma, the Dallas-Fort Worth area as far south as San Antonio there on Saturday, April 19th. And then this trough eventually ejects into the middle of the country on Sunday. This is Easter Sunday, and this should put an end to our multi-day severe weather episode across the middle of the country. Here's Sunday's risk on Easter Sunday from southern Illinois, Carbondale up towards St. Louis there, the Boot Heel of Missouri again, Memphis, Jackson, Mississippi, Little Rock, Jonesboro, and Pine Bluffs, Shreveport, Monroe, Alexandria, and down toward Tyler, Texas, the Houston Metroplex. Going to be watching you as we go into Easter Sunday. All modes of severe weather each of these days will be possible. Damaging winds, large to very large hail, and some tornadoes. Can't even rule out a couple strong tornadoes here. So here we go. This is the instantaneous flash rate, and this is basically just showing you the lightning strikes that we could be seeing as we go into Friday. Notice it's going to be lighting up the radar from Michigan all the way back down here into North Texas. Peak daytime heating. The peak of this event Friday will be afternoon into the evening hours. Those storms will wash out. We'll re-energize the atmosphere the next day on Saturday, the 19th. We'll do it all over again Saturday afternoon and evening, a little bit further south this time. And then finally, the trough ejects toward the Mississippi River on Easter Sunday. And then we'll again do it all over again with severe weather across those areas that we did mention there on Easter Sunday. Now, going into next week here, the last week of April, this is Monday, April 21st through Saturday, April 26th or so, ridge across the east, and a ridge of high pressure promotes drier weather typically, but also warmer temperatures this time of year. That's what we can be expecting, especially into the Northeast and the eastern seaboard. A trough across the west will bring cooler air, but also unsettled weather as well, and the clash of the air masses in between does spell the risk for some severe storms and some bouts of heavy rain. So first, looking at our 5-day average temperature anomaly: warmer east in the orange, cooler west in the blue, and then you see here the active weather with the dark greens down here in the southern plains, the Dixie Alley up here into the Tennessee Valley, and just the southeast in general. That's where the most active weather, the heavy rainfall threats, the severe weather threats will be as we go into late April. And we show you this here. This is NIU's Week 2 Accumulated Supercell Composite Parameter Map. And you can see, basically, to dumb this down for you, is that the yellows, oranges, and reds are the most likely areas of the environment that is suitable for severe weather. So Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, those areas into late April. And then as we look ahead, we're going to be seeing here a lot of heavy rainfall through the rest of the month as well. So flash flooding will also be a concern as we just have continuous rounds of heavy rain and severe weather. Some areas could be approaching 10 to 12 inches of rain in the central and southern plains, lower Mississippi Valley. And these are already areas that have seen significant flash flooding earlier on this month and in late March. Saturated soils already, so it won't take a lot of rain to produce a lot of that river flooding, to re-aggravate it, and to get those drainage areas really overflowed here across this region heading into early May. And speaking of early May, we do have an extended period of severe weather, at least through the first week of May, through the 6th, 7th time frame, from Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, down into Texas and Louisiana. A lot of the southern United States at risk for severe weather into the long range, so be on high alert as we even go into early May. Thank you all for watching. I definitely appreciate it. If you did enjoy this video, like it down below, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and be sure to subscribe to my channel for the most accurate and reliable information, and I'll see you all in the next video.